Investment Committee. I hope everybody got a chance to review the minutes for the May 17th meeting, and if so, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Move approved.
Thank you, Commissioner Jernigan.
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Fee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, got the hard part done. 2016-17 budget review, Central Cafeteria Fund, revenue and expenditures.
So you'll bring them up.
Hold on, Mr. Sandvig, or whoever's gonna coach us through this. We haven't seen it since last night.
There's no change since last night.
Oh, so that no change since last night.
Revenue for the Board of Education request is $17,937. Appropriations $18,914,554. Using fund balance $977,554.
And of course, as we said last night, the cafeteria fund is always, the money has to stay in the cafeteria fund. That money's generated there, spent there and all, and we can't use that money anywhere else. Very restricted. Any questions, comments, motions, what's the will of the committee?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen.
Second.
Commissioner Schaefer. Discussion on the cafeteria fund.
Most cafeterias, as the school year ends, in good shape, or is there a lot of replacements? The kitchens or something?
Where we use leftover funds to make repairs, sometimes you do have to replace equipment, that sort of thing. But so far, most of the time, we can handle
We're in
it
good shape,
in
yeah.
that amount. When fire marshal comes in, says replace all that you had before, all of your ductwork and things above, that creates a problem.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. On to educational capital projects, revenue and expenditures.
The revenue for this fund is $3,437,731, with appropriations being $3,906,021. I was estimating, this is my estimate, not Jeff's estimate, beginning fund balance of $1,700,000. This would draw down their fund balance to $1,231,710. School board presented the various projects that they wished, that they were planning to do, and then they had a wish list. The mayor and I talked to Jeff at the end of the meeting and asked if there was a possibility if some of these projects could be moved into the general purpose school fund, since their fund balance looks pretty healthy. Of course, now this is after the meeting and not even for the commissioners, so that was one thing that we were just kind of batting around. Could some of those projects be moved into the GPS, and maybe some of the projects on the wish list then move into the fund for next year? And then wondered if some of the additional revenue that's in the GPS potentially be moved to not only debt service, what I had asked is to also for this fund. But of course, again, this is not what was presented last night. And I'm speaking with Jeff, trying to figure out how can we accomplish this. So
We
he
met
goes,
with Mr. Clardy and some today, and we kind of got a different, we'll have to take it back to the school board, but we may still be able to do some of that.
so I know that it's tonight that you've got the Health and Ed Committee's recommendation, which is what was presented. Timing wise, we're just, our next meeting is June 2nd, which is when we propose the budgets for publication. The 9th is our regular meeting and school board meeting. That, at that point, then they can present a second
Capital.
revision. It's not-
So what you want us to do tonight is defer the capital expenditures
No,
budget?
well, it's really in total, what you're really approving tonight. You could, trying to, how do we make this work? We have time, as Commissioner Jordan said last night, we're to the end. We get to the end, and that's when y'all determine what your recommendation is that's going to the full commission.
Okay.
And a lot of times we do present, you know, where we are at public hearing.
So is it okay then to present this number at the,
I think so.
for our public hearing purposes?
Yes, yes.
We've got something here that's approved by the school board,
School
approved by
board.
Health and Ed.
Yeah.
That the school board is able to brainstorm and
They
make a
make a
few adjustments.
slight improvement.
We can make adjustments toward the end, but I think for now, we need to move forward with this with keep an open mind that if you come back with some better numbers, we can amend at the appropriate time. Because the school board will have to have, when does the school board meet again?
The ninth.
The ninth.
The ninth.
At 5, and I'm sure Mr. Odom could put us first on the agenda and come join y'all.
So we meet, that's our regular meeting on the 9th, and then, let's see, when do we do public hearing? The 14th. You know, even at that point, I can, because it'll be past the time it's going to be published. In the public hearing, if I can say, this is what was in the proposed budget, these are the changes that have been made since that time, since publication. I can always do it that way.
And they're not likely to be really significant.
No, I don't think so
Anyway, so I
either.
mean, these are going to be some small adjustments possibly.
If it was $6 million or something like
Yeah.
that, you know, you would say, would appear we were trying to hide something. If we're just trying to make a few efficiencies and get a few more projects in, you know, another window replacement, another floor fixed or something like that, then,
It's more like a line item thing that you're looking at moving something
yeah.
from ending fund balance to maybe a line item in maintenance or something like that. Still the same total.
So they can speak, but I would just recommend that you still move forward, but I throw that out there. Well, I was gonna say, I can't make a motion.
It would be so expedient.
It
if
would be,
you
it's
could.
just, you know,
Get rid of all
y'all
the
need to ask,
commissioners
y'all
at
need to
one
ask
time.
them if they would just go back and look at that.
Well, I'll make the motion that we approve the capital projects budget.
As presented.
As presented, yes.
Seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. I know we've made this completely cloudy in the last 90 seconds, but I think we all have good intentions. Any further discussion?
I do have a question about chillers. One would go to the older elementary school, well, because we got Roy Waldron and Smyrna. They must only have one chiller in that, whereas our new middle schools have 2 chillers, I assume. Okay, now here's the next question though. Laverne Middle, it's what, 12 years old? 2004 or so. And its chiller's going out. I assume that's the first one. It better be, I hope. And Rock Springs Middle is on here. It's what, about 4 years older? Something like
About that.
Yeah, and its chiller's going out.
Yeah.
So, and I assume that's the first one for it. What happened to Laverne Middle? Is it, do we know? Is it, we just get a lemon or?
I can say that our experience has been that, of course, we bid it out, we looked for the lowest and best, but some of the ones that we had on the early on are not lasting as long as some of the replacements we're putting in now. The progress are a little bit better quality, but that's, we've upped our specs a little to try to do the requirements, but
You gonna have some go out unexpected on, you got a lot of buildings, I know the man overall maintenance, Textron, you don't know when, sometimes they are gonna go out.
you know, the geothermal and things like that, where you have that, you don't work those chillers. You know, part of that's the, you know.
Laverne Middle's got all that.
But it's just that the outside temperature a lot of times, that chiller where you're blowing it in the air, it's just
Everyone's
ambient temperature.
Well, I was wondering, because we went through it, public safety with the jail out here a couple of years ago, because they had them going out.
We also are looking to move toward high efficiency. See some energy savings on those.
We have a a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And, general purpose school fund revenue.
Revenue for this fund is estimated $336,850,443, with appropriations $340,035,259. As presented, revenues are under appropriations by $3,185,000. Mr. Savick last night estimated that the beginning assigned fund balance would be at $30 million. With this drawdown, it would take it down to $26,815,184, which is almost an 8% fund balance, 7.89% fund balance. And the state requirement is a minimum of 3.
Take separate motions on revenue as far as expenditures, but I've got them separate on the agenda.
You can, or all together as we've done on the other
I
funds.
thought that was odd, these
I think
were
what
two
he's-
separate agenda items.
Well, I think he was telling you where they were located.
Okay.
They're in different locations. And I gave you, behind this sheet, I gave you the revised revenue numbers for your notebook, and the 340 of them is what the school board gave you in the handout last night.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve both revenues and expenditures as presented. That's what y'all are looking for, I think, at this time.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Allen, will say it's one of the easier school budgets to support in any of my memory. Any discussion? $300-something million, I mean. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Just want to make sure nobody wanted to jump in right there.
Well, you look at it the other way, the whole thing's gonna be over $500 million.
I've already got enough heartburn.
Can we ask a general question of the school board? The testing, or lack of testing this year, financially, did it hurt us?
Well, we don't pay anything really for the testing. The technology piece is really what it is. I actually listened to the commissioner again this afternoon, and the Pearson contract is only for scoring for this year. She said they had set up a new protocol to try to select the vendor for next year. And she didn't reveal exactly what that protocol is. There's not many, if any, in the United States that can really do all online. I think that we discovered some other places mostly, so I would expect it to be some kind of a hybrid between paper, pencil, and probably online. But that decision hasn't been made and probably can't be made until they make the vendor selection, see what the capacity is.
But now, as of now, they don't have that vendor selected, and we're looking at, what, April of next year, they gotta be getting them out, or maybe even March?
The state owns the test questions. So that was part of the deal, even when Measurement Incorporated, that's where your first big pot of money was that to create the test question. That was the $150 million or whatever that was. And so the state owns those, so it could be moved over to another vendor and platform and still ask some of those questions.
So we're not at the same point then, really, as we were at this time last year.
No, not
Okay.
really, because they have the pool of questions, is my understanding. So that was wise, at least, that they did
Yeah.
own the questions.
Okay.
Mr. Odom, we kind of touched on some areas last night. You know, some good things we're seeing out of the State Department of Ed on the technology side. They're looking, and we mentioned that very reasonable lease figure for PCs. The first motion, the first item that the board members saw for information only on E-rate, that pool of E-rate money is one we have never tried to apply for before because the conditions to get it, we didn't meet it as a system. But the things they have done working with a statewide kind of mix, there's a master contract with subcontracts under, that's made it possible for us to apply for that. And we, the range is huge, $18,000 to $75,000 savings if we are successful. We won't know where until we see if we get accepted, but we're seeing some very good things from the State Department.
Talked to the head of my hardware technology today. The two vendors that have come in with some of the negotiated bids the state's doing is HP and Lenovo. And we're going to meet with them the 16th of June from the reps. What are you going to offer? What's there? Again, we talked some about it there, but you really, if you're going to put, if you picked a grade or 2 or 3 to put computers in everybody's hand, you got to have some time to train teachers to use it. You don't want to just put the computer out there. What you're going to do. So we're not in a headlong rush to do something with this. Maybe better to step back a little, see what happens, and just do your training plan, get your things together so it's most effective if this is the direction we want to go.
Well, and one of their intents with this bid too was have for parents, okay, here are models, here are manufacturers that we recommend if you want your child to carry a laptop to school. So.
For us, the other side of it is how many electrical plugs and
Yes,
things
yes.
and to do the charging. So it's not a freebie always.
Yeah.
And do you then have to add additional Wi-Fi if you tripled your number of devices in a building? Are you robust enough to handle that? So there's some calculations and some analysis to do before you go headlong into that. People say, "Oh my, that looks good." It does, but let's see where we are, what it costs to implement.
I've got one other item, and I hope Jeff's memory is better than mine. On the TCRS,
Yes.
that we've
yes.
not had this discussion.
Not yet.
Is it 886? It's 8 something.
Or 866. It's one of the two.
It's either 886 or 866.
Yeah.
Anyway, our current rate on TCRS is 1197. And that affects everybody in the county, and it affects everybody in the schools except teachers. The teacher rate stayed the same, so we've got our new rate. I will tell you that Jeff and I both prepared budgets on the current rate. But when TCRS gave our rates, it's gone from 1197 to either 886 or 868.
Yeah.
It's gone to 8%.
Yeah.
Okay, quite a bit. If you remember when we were talking about all that discussion about what are we going to do with TCRS, are we going to make changes? And we told you then that we were overfunded at that time. So in our discussions, this is statewide, the state from TCRS was saying, if your rate is lower than what it currently is, or then at least add 2% to it. Because we are now going to be reviewed every year. We're going to get a rate every year, and they were, I don't want to say that they're gone, they just put a lot of pressure that don't just pay the minimum, because then if you set your budgets that late, you're going to have a struggle the next year when it goes up, which is one of the reasons why we did what we did, is we kept the budget the same. So, I guess I'm telling you, we've got some built-in cushion for the next year if it goes up. Also, we'd recommend, probably what the state did is the 2% on top of this, of the rate, so that we're funding more than what we need to, but then when they evaluate it the next year, if there is a drop, it won't hurt as bad.
Well, most of that was aimed at some of these school systems and commissions that are dragging their feet, not getting their tax assessments done by the end of June like we are, as early. I mean, in my opinion, that's what's going on there, why they're pushing and shoving it. I mean, there's some of these districts out here drag that out and they underfund their schools, and so, you know, I can see them doing that.
Well, it was a different feel at these meetings this time than ever.
Well, and I think they have some concerns going from the 2-year actuarial cycle to the 1, and
And
I
to
think they're
that,
gun shy.
that and the fact, I think they're gonna change how people live, how long people live.
Yeah, yes, yeah,
Change that assumption, which will then change,
yeah,
That should be an actuarial number.
right,
Yes.
It shouldn't be a guess.
right.
yeah. And in looking back over the history, and I went back, I think even into the, well, maybe early 90s, I may not have been able to go further back, but I think some of the times when we run into problems down the road is when, in a bad year, when the state has given us, or the state for teachers has used a very low rate. Well, we can justify it with these assumptions, and then, okay, yeah, we got by that period, but then if we had been funding more at the average rate, I don't think we would have seen some of the huge jumps we have seen. In the early part of the aughts, we had some very low funding rates, and I think we paid the price for that.
Later.
Well, yeah, later, and I like the idea of,
A point of clarification, the school board's rate that they have given for the next year is not changed, is that?
For the teachers.
Teachers.
For the teachers.
The teachers
Right.
did
Now,
not
for
change.
everyone else, including county general and their
Yeah.
other people, they've told us it's let's say it's 886.
yeah.
Which is lower than we've got in our budget.
In our budget.
For county general. And I guess in their
They
budget.
did it the
we-
same
we
way.
did the
They-
same.
We both budgeted at our current rate,
At the current rate of 1197. So at 2 points over 886 is 1086, so it's 1 point. So are we going to make an adjustment in our TCRS retirement numbers throughout county general, 1% down or
I
not?
would not.
You're just gonna stay with
I'd leave
11.9
it.
at 897?
What's that equate to?
Yeah, what dollar?
It's a lot.
Well, I
What's
can
your
have that
payroll?
for you.
Is that?
It is a little over $300,000
For you.
for us.
Is that all? Okay.
I
But
mean, I
what
just
was-
don't think it's gonna be huge.
And I personally, because of the swings we have seen, I wouldn't mind if y'all voted to go hold, and actually, we can contribute at our current 11.97. And if, when we get next year's rates, we see we are still running low, maybe adjust it then, but.
I guess I look at it that we're overfunded, which is why I think
Yes.
that we dropped so much.
Yes, yeah.
Well, we were not 100% funded on county general, weren't we? Like
Yeah.
96 or
No,
so?
we're
we were
102.
But we're over 100% already.
106,
So this
yeah.
is gonna push us even at a higher number.
Are
Yeah.
these some numbers we could have by next
Yeah.
Thursday's meeting? Because we're kind of
Mhm.
guessing at the numbers and trying to get some numbers on the fly, and I think this is a serious conversation, needs to be a little homework done beforehand, so we'll know exactly what we're dealing with.
We have close to 2,000 employees, they would be under, the teachers would be under different. Part-time, full-time, but most of part-time wouldn't be.
Now I'm talking about something else, I'll probably have it up here.
Don't want to get off on the
Somebody-
weeds on something else, and all of a sudden you'll be needing to look up something else.
It said 2,844, but you said it's only about 2,000? or do you think
We
they're-
have close to 4,000, you about 2,800 or so teachers or something like
That
that,
would
so.
fall under.
But part of your part-time's part of those
Yeah.
classified are part-time people, especially cafeterias, part-time custodians,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Just gotta change one number.
His sheets are full-time equivalents, so that's what throws you
Yeah.
off some when he does that at 12 month. He does a full-time equivalent, so you can compare apples to apples everywhere.
The logic to adjust for the different calendars we have and all that, couldn't do it in one line of formula.
Okay.
Okay. I'll tell you.
Drum roll.
Gotta get over to the, it's so hard to do this on with my finger. All right, the effect on the general fund. Oh, this is a pretty big number. 428,000.
I'd say
What'd you say?
320 to
428,000.
420 for us.
428,000, we could, you know, if I adjust, I can do that. I mean, it's not,
Yeah.
I could take it down a 1%.
And that doesn't include the part of the school system.
No, that's just general
That's
fund.
just general fund.
320, maybe
Yeah.
350 when we include the cafeteria fund.
And then the schools, I mean, not schools, solid waste, it drops at about 9,200. And the ambulance, it drops at about 68. So I can redo these and make that change and drop it. But instead of budgeting it at 1197, 1097.
Can we make this an agenda item for next Thursday night? A discussion?
Tuesday.
and-
Yes.
And you have these numbers?
Yes.
To present us?
So,
Do we-
I mean, we'll do whatever the committee wants to do, but
John,
I'll
Could
just.
I
we
should go ahead
Tuesday
and
night?
make it.
Well, we
Thursday.
can do it
The-
Thursday to
June-
get more time, right?
June 2nd.
Our
I
next
can
meeting
have
is June
that.
2nd, next Thursday night.
Yeah, okay.
June 2nd. That's the one that we do for
My little book, that's a Thursday.
June 2nd is review and propose the annual budget. So if it's the will of the committee, I will go ahead and drop a 1% on that.
Yeah, that's 764,000, assuming that it's 320 and not 350, so I mean, that's a big number.
Plus the ambulance was 68,000.
I added those, 68,000, okay.
And not to be,
60,000.
not to be too picky, but if it's
Just
886
higher than that.
It's 866.
versus 866, I would be curious to know what it would take if we took it down to 1066 and we just did the 2% above
Or
what
just
they
a 2%
recommended.
above what the recommended.
Could we
Yeah.
get over $1 million?
Good point.
And let her confirm what the actual
Go
number
with the
they
rate
quoted.
plus 2%
Plus
and build a
2%,
budget on
And
it.
then build a budget on that.
Yeah.
Picking a number is no point in rounding, might as well pick the actual number.
Yeah.
I'll do that and have that ready for y'all.
Just kind of thinking about the effect this would have, the current budget we've got says the county general's budget is about $3.1 million below the needed balance in unassigned
Right,
fund
that'll help.
balance. But then we also raised the hotel motel tax and litigation fees and
A hotel tax in that fund.
in that fund. It
Yes.
seems like you were going to project it raising another 1.5 million.
Mhm.
And then some for litigation fees, and then if we add this.
Litigation is
then-
over there in debt service.
Yeah, that has to
That's
go
all
with
debt
debt
service.
service.
But that, and also with this is what I'll be bringing to you on the 2nd, is the estimate for our fund balance, which, you know, I mean, I think I feel comfortable right now saying about 4 to 5 million to add to it.
Mhm. So probably that account's going to be all right.
Yeah,
Or that line.
that fund, the
that
fund. But I think I'm comfortable with go ahead and we'll adjust 2%.
Any other budgets to review at this time? Any other business to go before the committee?
The only comment I had is I think we've looked at a lot of different funds and a lot of them look pretty good this budget year. But really the one thing we haven't fully addressed is how we're going to pay for servicing the debt, not in this next fiscal year, but the years after that. We've approved the judicial building and we've approved Rocky Fork School, and we can get through this next fiscal year meeting our obligations in that fund. But I know that I'm still concerned with how we're going to service the debt 2 or 3 years from now, and I feel like since we've made a commitment right now to build this judicial building in Rocky Fork Elementary School, that we ought to be taking a more proactive role addressing how we're going to pay for it in future budget years. And so I'd like the committee to talk more about that at our June 2nd meeting.
And I will, okay. This is why I kind of brought up again, is if there is any way that we could move available pennies out this year, and And the reason why I'm saying this year is so we don't get tied up in a maintenance of effort that is all given to them next year, and so you've got to maintain that level. So to me, this is the year of opportunity to move some into debt service. I guess it's selfish reasons too, is that if we're going to market in the fall for $113 million, I want to be able to say in the rating agency to both of them that we realize the information coming from the schools, and with our growth, we're going to have these schools come in, and this is what we have done to address it. If, let's say 4 cents, if we move 4 cents over, it will show, we'll end up showing revenues over appropriations in the debt service fund. But we can say we're doing this, we're proactive because we know that this stuff is coming. And while we'll gain it this year, then next year when the full $7 billion worth of debt hits, we'll be better prepared and better.
We have that next Tuesday or the Thursday? When are you planning on bringing that information?
Next Thursday's the.
Our next
Our
meeting is Thursday.
our next meeting is Tuesday.
Thursday.
Is it not the June 2nd?
Tuesdays.
We
June
don't have-
2nd is Thursday?
31st is
I don't have a meeting down to the 31st.
June 2nd, I kept thinking it was
You
Tuesday.
get the weekend off.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
I'm starting to, that's like a treat.
I don't think we can advertise that meeting June.
June 2nd, June 2nd, that's Tuesday.
But you'll
Okay.
have that information.
I can have it June 2nd.
And you'll need that
Kind of a show
information.
what it looks like.
Now, maybe we could get one of those, an updated
Long
long
sheet.
sheet about the,
You'll have the
about
big long
debt
sheet.
service, because it's not actually in here. We've seen it on the screen, but I think it would help all of us to have to look at it, because it shows even if we don't approve any more schools, in about 2 or 3 years, we've got a shortfall in debt service of about $11 million.
when that
And
hits.
so I think if we don't
I'll
address
have-
it now,
I'll have some piece of paper showing the scenarios,
Okay.
pictures that y'all can take, and I'll use 80 million coming in the next years, and, because I think it's 240, right?
We've got to start ramping up debt service now.
And
Instead
you
of
need
waiting till
to,
it's wait until we're in a hole and
Yeah.
then address it all.
All you have to do is look around this country and see how many governments got behind. And then they're looking at bankruptcy that have happened or they're going down. We've even got some states now that are facing that, so.
well, see, it'd be easy for us not to address it this year because we're not borrowing the money until the fall. So it kind of gives the impression that we can approve the judicial building and approve Rocky Fork, but we're not really forced to address how we're going to pay for it yet. But we need to be responsible enough to take that challenge on, maybe starting on June the 2nd, and discuss it more.
And we, since I've been up here, we've switched pennies around with different funds. And since we've been going back and forth both ways.
I'd like to say I was very impressed or appreciative of the school boards
Yes.
and the administration's openness last night saying, well, you can move a few pennies, where in years past, you'd have had to hold a gun on somebody at the school board to say you could move some pennies out. They're going to say, no matter what, and it is more of a team effort than it used to be, and we do
You
appreciate
helped
it.
us out last year. We were in a bind with the
Yeah.
testing. You came through.
So the next high school, is it open?
It's
fall?
19. It's Rock Vale, which means your funding starts picking up in what, late 17, 18?
So you want Lisa to push this on out 3 or 4 or 5 more years and put those things in there? Her little program last time just took
Well, I
us
think
Put it out at
right now,
53 million for 3
isn't
years
our
in
smallest
a
high
row.
school right now
It won't be enough to
1,900?
address a high school.
Our 7 majors,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
are
Well,
1,900
maybe-
right now. We built
We
for
had-
I
2,000.
mean, it can come and go. I mean, I think 80 is a good, I'll do it 80
80,
and a
that might
50
do it.
50.
Okay,
And
and you,
it's,
3,000 graduated this year, right?
We always do the same.
Okay, and how many came into first grade this year? Working?
We split with the city, so it's a little bit, usually our elementary grades may run 2,800, 2,900, and you'll get your high schools usually there 3,200 or something like that because of difference.
So if we're right there, then when they get to high school, it's going up.
Well, we grew by 800 last year in the high school. Of those 1,200 and something, 800 were high schools. Will that happen again? I don't know. Unusual.
Very unusual.
Is there anything else come before this committee tonight? No, I want to hope everybody has a good, safe Memorial Day weekend. Thank Ms. Jolly for helping us out tonight, but Tucker couldn't be here, and we are adjourned.